Mikey Williams. Mikey Williams was the first high school basketball player to become a global celebrity before ever stepping on a college court. By 16, he had over 5 million followers, a Puma deal, and cameras in every gym he entered. He had bounce, swagger, and highlight reels that made him look like the next Derrick Rose with Wi-Fi. But the spotlight burned too hot. The game stopped growing while the brand exploded. Legal trouble struck in 2023 when he faced serious charges that derailed his college debut and froze his NIL deals. Memphis paused his commitment, and his name shifted from future lottery pick to what happened. He tried transferring, but the buzz never came back. Mikey had the followers, the fame, and the hype, but not the development. He became proof that clout doesn't replace coaching, and what happened next would make the hype machine look even worse. Julian Newman. Julian Newman looked like a glitch in the system, a fifth grader dropping 40 on high schoolers. His mixtapes racked up millions of views, and by 11, ESPN was covering him like he was LeBron's heir. But Julian wasn't built for longevity. At just 5 feet 5 inches, he relied on flash over fundamentals. He played for a private school run by his dad, where stats were inflated and competition was weak. The brand outgrew the player. By high school graduation, he had over 6,000 points, but no Division I offers. His pro career, a few semi-pro stints, exhibition games, and reality show cameos. Newman was never developed. He was marketed. He became famous for being famous, the basketball version of a viral meme. When the likes ended, so did the dream. Emoni Bates. Emoni Bates was the next Kevin Durant. Slam magazine put him on their cover at 15, calling him the future of basketball. His shot was pure, his handle smooth, and his confidence unmatched. But the hype became a burden. At Memphis, he struggled to adjust, shooting under 40% and losing his role to older players. He transferred to Eastern Michigan, where his numbers improved, but his decision-making didn't. Scouts saw potential, not progress. Then came off-court issues that made teams wary. Once projected to go top 3, he fell to 49th in the 2023 draft. Cleveland took a gamble on him, but he's been fighting for minutes ever since. The same media that crowned him abandoned him just as fast. He still has talent, but the game doesn't wait for potential. And the next player on this list learned that exact lesson before him. 7th Woods. Before Zion Williamson, there was 7th Woods. His 8th grade mixtape broke the internet in 2013, windmill dunks, crossovers, and a 40-inch vertical at 14. He looked destined for stardom. But when he got to North Carolina, the flash disappeared. His athleticism stayed elite, but the rest of his game stalled. Loose handle, streaky jumper, shaky feel. 3 seasons with the Tar Heels produced less than 2 points a game. Transfers to South Carolina and Morgan State followed, but the breakout never came. Woods had the highlight tape of a superstar and the production of a role player. He now plays overseas, chasing the game he once ruled. His story isn't tragic, it's a reminder. You can't build a career on mixtapes alone, and the next name shows just how brutally quick that hype can vanish. Lenny Cooke. Lenny Cooke was ranked number 1 in the nation in 2001, above LeBron, Carmelo, and he was the original what if. He had the size, skill, and swagger of a future NBA star, but he believed the hype before it became reality. He skipped college, declared for the 2002 draft, and went undrafted. No backup plan, no structure, just talent that never matured. By his mid-20s, Cooke was out of basketball. The 2013 documentary about him revealed the truth. Fame without discipline is a ticking clock. He played like an NBA player before he was one, but never became it. His story became a warning for every phenom that followed. And one of those young prodigies took that same path years later, with cameras recording every step. Sharife Cooper. Sharife Cooper made defenders look like traffic cones. His court vision was elite, his handle pure entertainment, and his swagger magnetic. At Auburn, he averaged 20 points and 8 assists in 12 games, but his size, barely 6 feet, and shaky defense made NBA scouts hesitate. Draft night confirmed their doubts. He fell to the 2nd round, bounced between the Hawks bench and the G League, and the highlight reel wizard never got his tape. He could pass, score, and command an offense, but not at NBA speed. By the time he found rhythm again in the G League, the league had moved on. Cooper's story isn't failure, it's friction between talent and timing. The skill was real, the fit wasn't. But it gets crazier, because the next player's entire brand was built on making basketball look easy. Isaiah Washington. Isaiah Washington didn't just play basketball, he invented a movement. Jelly Fam was more than a layup style, it was a cultural wave. He made finesse cool again. In New York, he was a legend before he hit college, turning gym layups into viral moments. But the higher the spotlight, the harder the fall. At Minnesota, his rhythm vanished. Flash became inefficiency, and highlight plays turned into turnovers. Transfers to Iona and Long Beach State kept the dream alive, but the NBA didn't call. He's now an overseas scorer, still rocking the jelly, still chasing the dream. Washington had style, confidence, and creativity, but not the evolution the game demands. His story proves that culture alone doesn't cut it, but the next player had all that and more raw power than anyone on this list. Kyrie Walker looked like a grown man among kids. At 14, he was dunking on everyone and already looked like a college athlete. He had 5-star offers, massive hype, and a body built for domination. Then the momentum vanished. He decommitted, reclassified, and skipped college entirely to train privately for the NBA draft. That decision cost him everything. No exposure, no development, no shot to prove himself. When draft night came, teams didn't even blink. He went undrafted, played briefly in the G League, and then disappeared overseas. From being the #1 freshman in the country to a basketball nomad in just 5 years, Walker became a cautionary tale about vanishing too soon. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. Aquille Carr. Aquille Carr was 5'6" of pure chaos. Nicknamed the Crime Stopper because local crime supposedly dropped when he played, he was Baltimore's folk hero. His vertical was unreal, his energy unmatched, and his swagger undeniable. But his game never matured beyond the highlights. At 16, he had D1 offers and even a $750,000 pro deal from Italy. Instead, he declared for the NBA draft straight from high school and went undrafted. He tried the D League and overseas ball, but his size limited him at every turn. Carr's legacy is bittersweet. He proved that heart can overcome height, but not system flaws. The NBA is built for giants, and he was built for crowds. Still, his legend lives on in every undersized guard chasing respect. And the next player on this list came from a family that turned hype into a household name. LiAngelo Ball. LiAngelo Ball lived in the shadow of his brothers, but still wrote his own chaotic story. At Chino Hills, he averaged over 30 points and led his team to a 35-0 record. But his college career ended before it began. Caught up in a shoplifting scandal in China that got him suspended from UCLA and sent home in disgrace. He went pro early, played in Lithuania, and dropped wild numbers in LeVar's own league. But few took it seriously. NBA teams gave him tryouts, but never contracts. His brothers became stars, LiAngelo became a punchline. Now he's turned to music, chasing a different kind of spotlight. He had the numbers, the name, and the brand, but not the staying power. The Ball era made him famous, but fame can't buy a roster spot. And the next player learned that same lesson in an even crueler way. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel. So hit that subscribe button before we go any further. Adam Morrison. Adam Morrison was the face of college basketball in 2006, a floppy-haired scoring machine from Gonzaga who looked more like a rock guitarist than an athlete. He averaged 28 points a game, battled JJ Redick for national dominance, and turned a small school into a national phenomenon. But when Gonzaga blew that Sweet 16 lead and Morrison collapsed on the floor crying, it became one of March Madness's most iconic images. Drafted 3rd overall by Charlotte, the NBA exposed everything college didn't. Morrison wasn't quick enough, his jumper wasn't fast enough, and his defense couldn't survive. An ACL tear killed his momentum, and though he later won 2 rings with the Lakers, he rarely touched the floor. His fire never faded, but his confidence did. Adam Morrison had the passion, the story, the image, but not the speed for the modern NBA, and the next player's range went even further than Morrison's ever could. Jimmer Fredette. For one shining season, Jimmer Fredette was basketball's folk hero. He was pulling from the logo before it was cool, turning every game at BYU into a viral event. He averaged nearly 29 points per game, won National Player of the Year, and had fans yelling Jimmer at every rec center in America. Sacramento took him 10th overall in 2011, thinking they had the next Steph Curry, but in the NBA, Jimmer's magic disappeared. He couldn't guard anyone, couldn't create space, and when his shot stopped falling, teams stopped calling. He bounced between benches before finding success overseas, dropping 40-point games in China like it was nothing. He became a legend, just not in the league everyone expected. Jimmer Mania was unforgettable, but fame doesn't equal fit. And while Jimmer faded quietly, the next player came out swinging and refused to stop. stop. Michael Beasley. Michael Beasley was unstoppable at Kansas State. 26 points, 12 rebounds, and the body of a power forward mixed with the skill of a guard. He looked like the perfect NBA scorer. Dominant, fearless, and versatile. Drafted second overall behind Derrick Rose, Beasley had all the tools but none of the consistency. One night he'd drop 30 with ease, the next he'd disappear completely. Off-court distractions followed him, and every comeback ended the same way. Flashes of brilliance, then fading confidence. He bounced from Miami to Minnesota to Phoenix and beyond, always searching for stability. In China, he became the player everyone thought he'd be, averaging video game numbers, but it didn't translate back home. Beasley's career is a masterclass in wasted potential. He had everything but focus, and while he chased redemption, the next player tried to power his way through the NBA the old-fashioned way. Tyler Hansbrough. Tyler Hansbrough, better known as Psycho T, played basketball like a man possessed. At North Carolina, he was all heart, diving for loose balls, screaming after every bucket, and turning bruises into badges of honor. He was a 4-time All-American, a national champion, and one of college basketball's most dominant power forwards. But when the Pacers drafted him, the game had already changed. The NBA wasn't built for bruisers anymore. It was built for spacing, speed, and skill. Psycho T's intensity was unmatched, but it couldn't outrun evolution. And the next player on this list was everything the modern game wanted, until he wasn't. Frank Kaminsky. Frank Kaminsky was every college coach's dream. 7 feet tall, smooth jumper, and leadership that carried Wisconsin to back-to-back Final Fours. He dethroned an undefeated Kentucky team and won National Player of the Year in 2015. Charlotte took him 9th overall, believing they'd found their stretch big of the future. But the Hornets turned down 4 first-round picks from Boston to draft him, and that gamble aged terribly. Kaminsky was solid but never special. Too slow for forwards, too soft for centers. The Frank the Tank nickname became ironic. His career proves how thin the line is between smart pick and missed opportunity. And the next name on this list had LeBron James himself demanding his team draft him. Shabazz Napier. Shabazz Napier was everything March Madness was built for. A fearless point guard who carried UConn to a national title. He hit big shots, played bigger than his frame, and became a 2-time NCAA champion. LeBron James even tweeted that teams should draft him. Miami listened, took him 24th overall, and then LeBron left 2 weeks later. Napier never found the same spark in the NBA. He bounced around from team to team, flashing potential but never finding rhythm. The Magic that won tournaments couldn't win rotations. Still, he showed grit every step of the way. But while Napier's story is bittersweet, the next one is pure dominance turned disaster. Jahlil Okafor. Jahlil Okafor was supposed to be the next great center. At Duke, he won a national championship and looked unstoppable in the post. The Sixers took him 3rd overall in 2015, but the league had moved on. Big men were shooting threes, not backing down defenders. Okafor's defense was slow, his range non-existent, and his value plummeted overnight. Game evolved faster than he did. The irony, 10 years earlier, he'd have been a star. Instead, he became a cautionary tale, and one player before him suffered the same cruel timing, just in a different era. Emeka Okafor. A decade before Jahlil, Emeka Okafor was the blueprint. He led UConn to a national title in 2004, averaged over 4 blocks a game, and won Defensive Player of the Year twice. Charlotte drafted him 2nd overall, and he delivered early. 15 points, 11 rebounds, Rookie of the Year. But back injuries crept in, and his offensive growth flatlined. His consistency kept him around for years, but the spark that defined him at UConn never reignited. And while he faded quietly, the next player brought energy the league just couldn't contain. Dee Brown. Dee Brown was lightning in sneakers. The headband, the speed, the smile. He embodied joy and chaos at Illinois. In 2005, he led the Illini to a 37-2 record and a national championship appearance. He was the fastest player on the court and one of the most beloved. But at just 6 feet tall, his NBA dream was brief. College fans remember him as a star. NBA fans barely remember him at all. But Brown never stopped playing, never stopped smiling. His passion outlasted his career. And the next player's story pushes that perseverance to an entirely new level. DeJuan Blair. DeJuan Blair defied logic. Standing just 6 feet 7 inches with no ACLs in either knee, he still dominated the Big East at Pittsburgh. His strength and rebounding made him an All-American, and San Antonio grabbed him in the 2nd round thinking they'd found a steal. Early on, it looked like they did. Blair started games, grabbed double-doubles, and brought relentless energy. but as his knees wore down, so did his explosiveness. His minutes dwindled, his impact faded, and by his late 20s, he was gone from the league. DeJuan Blair's journey wasn't tragic. It was inspiring. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.